Season almost in the book. Mina Kimes, give me one thing that stood out to you on Sunday.
Well, it's a guy we're beginning to take for granted, Laura. That's Patrick Mahomes. 372 yards, 4 tutties, no big deal. What kills me about the Chiefs is that they can kill you every way. Some games they're going to run the ball. Like yesterday, they barely ran it at all. Patrick Mahomes was astounding under pressure. He's just astounding, period. And he is back at the front of the MVP race.
The NFL is in good hands at the young quarterback spot. With no Joe Burrow, we got Herbert, Kyler Murray, and Tua. Yesterday alone, they went 69 and 96 for 1,022 total yards and 8 touchdowns. All 3 of them were on display and had outstanding afternoons. We're in good hands at the quarterback spot in the future.
Whoa, gaudy stats from you, Dan. Oh, but Chargers fans, oh my God, I feel terrible for you guys. Listen, this is a good football team. By all intents and purposes, you right there at the end, and the execution just doesn't seem to happen to get in the win column. But stay patient, Chargers fans.
If we're going to talk about players who are taken for granted, how about Dalvin Cook, who now leads the league in rushing? He has 12 touchdowns this season already. The only players who had more rushing touchdowns at this point in the season in NFL history were Jim Brown, Emmitt Smith, and Priest Holmes. Dalvin Cook is leading the Vikings back into a playoff chase.
I love it, Shefty. Welcome to NFL Live, everybody. Glad to be with you on this Monday. Later on, we're going to tell you why Tua Tagovailoa actually looked like he did in college on Sunday. Dan, the camera's over there. That's a great thing for the Dolphins. Dan Orlovsky's here trying to figure out what we're doing. We got Mina Kimes, we got Marcus Spears, and of course, Adam Schefter. Let's get right to a game yesterday that the Bucs and Tom Brady are going to want to forget if they can. But a legendary quarterback matchup nonetheless, with Drew Brees and Tom Brady ready to face off. First Saints possessions where we pick it up, and Brees seeing the field so well, Dan.
Well, they fake the pump to screen Kamara, and that allows Traquan Smith to go to that back pylon. Look at the aggression by the Tampa Bay secondary. That's an easy throw for Drew Brees, using Kamara as a decoy.
Marcus Spears diving into the play on the defensive side later on. Saints take the early lead, and they're already up 14-0 in the second quarter. Emmanuel Sanders with that grab.
Just call it getting worn out. Jamal Dean's got his eyes in the backfield. Look, goes on that slant move, and then that's just an easy comeback out for Emmanuel Sanders. Route running extraordinaire, easy touchdown.
All right, surely the Bucs are going to come back here, right? But no, Tom Brady intercepted there.
Listen, we call these a BBB, bad break bro. This is a screen pass. Just get the defensive lineman's hands down so he doesn't tip the ball for an interception. Great play by the Saints.
Score 28-0 Saints, and a minute to play in the half. Bucs trail 31-0 now, and just nothing going right for him.
There's some miscommunication here. AB sits his route down. Tom thinks he's going to go vertical. If one doesn't get it, someone else will, and for that defense.
Sean Payton's dancing in the locker room. It was a big victory for them, and that's why Marcus Spears said, Lord have mercy. And entering Week 9, Tom Brady was the least pressured passer in the NFL, but the Saints flipped the script on Brady last night, bringing pressure on 46% of his dropbacks. Clearly affected his ability to move the ball. He went 6 of 19 for 36 yards, 1 interception under pressure. Of course, there were more outside of that. A QBR of 2.3. Brees, on the other hand, with 3 of his 4 touchdowns coming against pressure. But back to Brady, as his coach Bruce Arians had some interesting comments earlier today.
Mike was open a bunch in that ball game. He just didn't get targeted. That's all. He was open. Mike was open.
All right, so the Mike he's talking about, Mike Evans, of course, one of Brady's receivers. Marcus, you're shaking your head. What do you make of what Bruce Arians said about Mike Evans being open?
Well, I mean, look, if he was open or not, that don't matter. You got out coach, BA. And it started on the sideline. Like, it was head games being played early in that game, and no one could ever adjust. And instead of trying to push the ball 20 yards downfield, what about some quick, easy outlets? What about some screens? What about do what the Saints was doing? Potentially, that could have helped you in the football game. The rush was all over Tom Brady. The offensive line did not hold up well. It's hard as hell to see your wide receivers wide open if you ain't got time to see them wide open. So there should be no... Look, some of this is Tom Brady's fault, and he's not absolved from how bad and poorly he played as well. But Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich damn sure didn't help him play better either. So before we done been down this road before with BA. He calls players out. That's what he does. They have a level of respect for him. But this ain't the time to call no players out if you go back and look at that film and see how you got out coached.
I wanted to come in today and spend most of my time praising the Saints defense because they deserve praise. How about my boy Trey Hendrickson, Marcus? You know I've been on him all season, unlike Bruce Arians. But the second, and you guys know this about me, the second they threw not one, but 2 goal line fades.
Oh, no.
I had to come for the coaches. and I got to come for all the coaches, right? Because, Marcus, you laid out some of the mistakes they made on offense. I think some of the target distribution was a real issue for Tampa Bay, by the way, not getting their better players involved. But also on defense. Okay, Todd Bowles has had a great season, but how are you going to play a soft zone against Drew Brees? That is like walking into a playground with a kick me sign taped to your back. It's not what you do best. I was befuddled by their game plan on both sides of the ball, and while the execution was lacking as well, Tom Brady didn't play well, some of the Bucs secondary didn't play well, the coaching was bad.
I agree with you guys, and we've all pointed out like the players haven't played well. And this is a team that the players, for a great majority of this season, have played really well. At times they've been dominant. So that's why it is unequivocally about the coaching staff. I want to talk about the offense to start. Okay, so you go into this game and there's no Ali Marpet, one of the better offensive linemen that you have. You're going against a good defensive line. And so number one, your thought process should be, what's the best protection plan for us? How do we make sure that we can protect against this front? First of all, don't put your rookie tackle on play 1 against Cam Jordan in singled up pass protection. It starts there. Number 2, all right, what are our matchups? Like, who are the matchups that we think we can exploit? That's your job as a coach. Maybe it's one of the secondary players. Maybe it's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Like, maybe that's the guy that you want to go after. And third of all, what's the way that you could put defenders in conflict? We have all seen that Saints secondary give up big chunks. We've all seen it because they get put in conflict. You never did that. As a coaching staff, you did not do that. Mina, you talked about the defense. 16 snaps in the first half. Yesterday, they played zone against Drew Brees. 8, they played man. You know what Drew Brees does better than anybody? Move defenders with his eyes. You know what defenders can get moved in with eyes in? Zone coverage. So we can point all the fingers we want. Look at this. Look at all the eyes on Drew Brees. Why is everybody doing that? Because he's pumping out to Alvin Kamara. How about this one? Look at the underneath defender. JPP. Can't get there. Why? Because Drew Brees drifted him inside. These are easy completions. Look at the underneath defender, Levante David right there. He goes to that quick shallow because Brees is staring at him. You put your defense in that position. Those guys didn't play it poorly. You did that, coaches. So this game is 100% on the coaches for Tampa Bay, and you have to adjust.
Yeah, throughout the night, as we were watching the game and talking to each other about it, we're like, man, it feels like Drew Brees has all the answers to this test. Not the same could be said for the Bucs. And listen, Adam, we all on this show picked the Buccaneers to win the game. I mean, it's no secret that doesn't go well for the team that we pick when we all pick the same team. But what did you make of last night's loss for the Buccaneers?
Well, stop the parade. Everybody's been talking about a Super Bowl in Tampa. It was going to be the biggest home game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had in over a decade now. First Sunday Night Football appearance in 12 years. And everybody, I think, got a little bit ahead of themselves. We saw all the experts picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think the New Orleans Saints feasted off that last night. They loved the fact that on ESPN, on NBC, everybody's picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, except New Orleans' offensive line played better. Its defensive line played better. And Tampa Bay got swept up in the excitement of getting Antonio Brown in there and having all these newfound players. They got schooled last night, and that team now needs to turn it around, and that's not the place you want to be midway through the season, Laura.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Bucs actually ran the ball just 5 times last night. That's the fewest ever recorded in a National Football League game. Yeah. We're just getting started on NFL Live. Sorry, Marcus, you can go get us after the break. We are going to talk about the dominating Indianapolis that Baltimore was able to